Father, can you hear me now?
Can you hear me?
Father, we will say yes.
Yeah. Somebody.
I'm in need. I'm in need in the blood of the Lamb.
Yes.
Oh my.
Oh my God, say yes. Can you hear me, Lord? I can't do it all by myself.
Limping up the
Ooh, yeah.
limping up the aisle.
You know
Just
she ain't even
to the
sing that
altar.
part.
Oh,
That was somebody else.
That was Kim
She was
Burrell.
lip syncing. Kim Burrell, one of the Clark sisters.
somebody. He needs some. She needs
Some milk.
some milk. Okay, we're here.
We are here.
We're back.
We're back.
We're
It's been a second.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's the reason why we recorded episodes
Look,
way in advance.
Way.
Because we just knew life was going to be like, bitch.
like,
You thought you were working on a podcast.
like, oh, bitch.
Bitch. Let me tell you.
You know.
You gonna sit in this bed all day.
Oh my goodness.
How have you been?
I'm good.
That's a loaded question.
Yeah, that's very loaded. Seeing how we haven't seen each other in a minute.
That is a testament to how
But
loaded
this
it is.
wine has me feeling spectacular. If I had a pussy, bitch, this wine would have my pussy wet as fuck. Just.
So have y'all heard that song by Miss 3LW, Miss Cheetah Girls?
They probably haven't.
They
Hold
probably
on.
haven't, because baby girl, she fell the fuck off the face of the earth after Cheetah Girls One World.
Spectacular. I didn't even watch that one.
I didn't either, because Galleria wasn't in it, and I was like, this is ghetto.
Where did she go?
Well, that was around the time that I think Raven was either pregnant or she got bigger.
Right.
And her image wasn't, at least that was the rumor around the time, her image wasn't like identical to the character anymore. We are going to get copyrighted.
Sex was spectacular. Okay.
You better get it, Aqua. I'm getting fucking promise. Tired of your fucking promise.
This is nobody's gonna fuck with us because we just get on here and we just get on here and do dumb shit. Oh my goodness.
3LW was those bitches though.
Yes, I enjoyed it.
And I enjoy Aqua too. I enjoyed her and her list. Thoroughly.
Oh my god, that reminds me of Kid Fury and what's the other girl name?
Crystal. What
Crystal.
they say?
Yes, they have a because you know they have their TV show now.
Yes.
They have a
Hilarious.
segment. They have a segment on there. Say something nice, and they be. They be pull a politician, celebrity.
Their faces are just... I'm so glad they're on television now.
Yes.
Because their faces are priceless. And like the way they talk about themselves on the podcast, you can kind of tell that their faces are all tooted up.
Yes.
But seeing it now, like literally, I like piss a little bit every time I see Kid Fury and Crystal.
I've never seen somebody straight face somebody just
perfectly.
Oh my goodness.
Perfectly. Love them. Love them so much.
Yes. Goals.
Yeah. So you say you were doing good or fine or lovely Whatever adjective you use.
I think I say good. I feel like that's where I am right now. Like, I'm in good spirits. I mean, shit has hit the ceiling. It has gone through the fan and hit the ceiling and then splattered everywhere else in the room. Splattered everywhere else
How to
in
get
the
away with
room.
murder? We need to call Annalise Keating.
Jesus Christ. To clean up shit?
The splatter. Or we talk to Frank.
Oh my goodness.
Bonnie, because she's lost her shits too.
You need to get out of the computer or whatever electronic device you've been watching that show on, because you are invested.
I love that show. And I'm not surprised because Shonda Rhimes does it to it every time. Every time.
I cannot. I'm getting back into Grey's. I fell off because I caught up because I'm on the current season, but that shit just be hitting different. Like, that is emotionally draining.
It is such a great show.
Are you caught up on Grey's?
I not what's currently on television.
Well,
you know we ain't got cable, so
I don't either. I have Hulu.
Oh, we don't got it either.
With the commercials.
We got HBO now and Netflix.
That's the cheapest one, so that's the one I use. But yeah.
You said with commercials. I didn't know Hulu had a commercial option.
Yes, Hulu has.
How much does it cost?
$6.
How much is it without commercials?
Like 10. I just won't bring myself to do it. Look, Netflix is getting it out of me.
Netflix is $13
with that $9.99. 13.
Yes.
Who?
It's $9.99
for me.
I don't pay for it.
Oh,
thank you, Mama.
She probably playing for the multiple devices and shit.
Oh yeah, because it's 5 of us.
Because after 2, they shut that bitch down. You cannot watch more than 2 screens at a time.
Yeah,
on
that pop up and show up, be like, bitch.
You know how offended people be. That's why I had, because my roommates were logged in on our TV in the living room, but I was like, y'all family be watching Netflix too much at home, and I be coming home and be wanting to drink my wine and watch Paradise PD or whatever Netflix original be on that shit. So I had to log the fuck out and log into mine, so we can just use mine. It's okay.
Yeah. Cause you be real sad when you just ready to get all cuddled up in your sheets,
and then
Netflix says, you thought, but it's too many of y'all niggas logged in, so you can either sign everybody out or you can try again later.
And see, I'm a petty motherfucker.
My bitch has been signing everybody out.
I'm a petty motherfucker. I changed the password real quick because I pay it for my family, so I wish. Be like, I want to watch my show, so I'm gonna watch my show.
See, I'm not gonna put myself out there because I'm leaving it right there.
Oh no. Okay. Well, moving on.
We'll talk offline.
Yes. off the record.
Off the record.
Yes.
Not on it, but off.
But I'm in good spirits, like I was saying. So much has just transpired these past couple weeks, and I just like Friday was my last day of work, and now I'm unemployed. I'm gonna just start having people slap my booty for money, like not fuck me, but just
that is a stream of income.
Slap my ass.
You can sell feet pictures.
I don't have. I mean, my feet not
have
ugly.
Dread fetishes. Send a picture of your dreads.
My dreads?
Your dreads.
I don't.
The mysterious parts. The parts that people don't see, like your roots.
Yeah, my roots. They don't see those.
Show them.
Oh my goodness.
Give them a glance of your scalp.
Look, my.
Not using the microphone as a camera. I'm screaming. I should have saw this man.
Okay, but what's been going on with you?
Oh my god.
Same old.
I'm so over this stage of my life. Like,
that's real.
And I'm so blessed. And I think that's the biggest thing that's been getting me through is just realizing how blessed I am, because there's so many people are in far worse situations than I am in. Mm-hmm. It's just, I don't know what God is chefing up right now.
Oh, he cooking.
But it ain't finished. Maybe it's like, you know, when you let the bread sit off to the side so it can rise a little bit before you bake it.
Yes.
It's in the baking stage.
He not even put it in the oven
he hasn't
yet.
even put it in the oven yet.
Mm-mm.
It's not in the baking stage. It's like he's just letting it rise.
That's relatable.
And it's like, you know, when the bread is getting to that point, all these different enzymes and chemicals are you know, doing their thing to make the bread. And I'm just over here like, damn, what we done? Just so that I can get the shit knocked out of me again, because you know they gotta knead it again.
I'm saying,
like they get it up and like, boom, you know, right in the middle of the hole. And so I'm just ready to be knocked the fuck out. Because maybe I'm in the kneading stage right now, but I just feel really strange about so much. But I'm currently on vacation from work, which has been extremely liberating. Because work has been a complete mess. But I'm working through it. Mm-hmm. I'm working through it. I'm staying happy. I am staying encouraged. And
I'm encouraged. Don't.
That.
I'm encouraged.
I'm encouraged.
I don't understand.
That is me.
They be yelling into the microphone.
I mean, and they put the best in the prime right in the front.
Kimberell.
Kimberell get on my fucking nerves. I can't stand that hoe. But she can sing her face off, but I cannot stand.
She has a horrible attitude.
Homophobic hoe. Yeah. And she got a she got a homophobic attitude too. But she does have a terrible attitude. I saw it on Sunday's Best. Yes. I'm like, these people are singing for the Lord. And you got the audacity to act like you Simon Cowell. Simon Cowell, that's a secular man. You over here singing for the Lord too, and you over here just acting like they said. What Jesus say? He said something about every voice being joyful. If you are singing praises unto Him,
amen.
Every voice is joyful.
She didn't agree.
Clearly.
And neither did it wasn't Erica. Tina?
The one that supports Trump.
She does not.
Yes, she does.
You're lying.
She supports Trump. At least that's what the rumors was.
Let it be a rumor, Lord.
Well, I don't know.
Okay. Next.
Anyway. Team Erica.
So many people are canceled.
I don't know what her twin doing. They probably not twins. I think they like
sisters.
They sister. They probably like a few years from each other.
Yeah.
But
Tina I can see that
better with her black ass. Anyway.
Yeah, Tina had a attitude problem too.
Anyway, I don't watch Sunday Best because anyway, I'm really over gospel, and mainstream just really makes my skin itch.
I love me a good gospel song though.
I mean, I do too. But I appreciate it. Like, I love Kirk, but like I appreciate Kirk's authenticity. Mm-hmm. I think all these other gospel artists are just kind of, not all of them, but a lot of the ones that want to be mainstream, like the Tasha Cobbs. I'm like, how? I just don't understand how these bitches just be so homophobic, and then you hop on a record with somebody who's either the homo or has a large homo fan base,
like Kirk Franklin. Well,
I mean, Kirk doesn't say, he's not problematic though. Kirk stays on the fence.
He does,
which is kind of problematic, but it's in a different sense. Yeah. Tasha Cobbs and Kim Burrell have been very vocal about how they feel about the LGBT community. And I think that's problematic because Kim Burrell's ass was on Frank Ocean's song, who is an openly bisexual man.
Oh, really?
Yes, on Godspeed, on his last album, Blonde. She was on there riffing and running, and I lived for it until she came out with that whole sermon about how homosexuals need to go to hell, or whatever the fuck she said.
That reminds me of the time when, I think I told you, but when my chapter performed for the church, mm-hmm. and you know, we just doing it for the youth of the community, you know, trying to uplift, mm-hmm. and typically, like, pretty much every time, like, my chapter does a really good job of, like, making sure, even regardless of whatever crowd it is, like, we're making sure it's respectful, so we not playing songs that has like bitch, nigga, ass, bitch, let me fuck your pussy, all that. Like, we not doing all of that. Like,
church.
So like, we even took, so like this one time, we actually took the extra step of like reaching out to them. Was like, hey, like here's our music, da 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 da. They canceled one of our songs completely. It was like, no, we can't. Like they're talking about shooting in this song, so like we can't. We like, we cool, we understand.
Yeah.
But like the other song, they were like, oh, that's fine, like whatever. So we even did like a whole little like gospel stroll or whatever. So like we did 2 songs, and then we switched to we did a Kirk Franklin song, a Ty Tribbett song, and then
Ty Tribute problematic too.
Is he really?
Yeah.
I be jamming the Ty.
I did too until I heard that one line.
What he say?
He said something about the homosexual spirit. And
I remember that song.
I was just jamming on Pandora, and I was like, Pandora, I slick don't fuck with y'all either about putting this on here.
Yeah. Oh shit.
Thank God the cork was on.
Look, I'm a little tipsy.
Already?
Just a
little.
I didn't eat today.
This barefoot.
Barefoot be strong. They put their foot in it. That's why I felt
They be stomping the grapes. Like, you remember that episode of Family Guy? When they reenacted that news clip with the girl that was stomping the grapes and fill out the grape thing.
I think.
Sean, I know you remember because that was old school YouTube. When YouTube was nothing but meme culture before meme culture was meme culture.
I feel like I know what you're talking about.
We'll have to watch it.
Right. I'm
fucking screaming.
Look, but we had went through all of those steps to like make sure we were being respectful or whatever. We finally get in the church, and you know, we actually. I'm not even gonna tell the whole story because we ended up like sitting through part of the service, and we were like, we didn't sign up for this. Like we thought this was like.
Come and go.
But I can't remember what branch of Christianity it was, but it was something where they don't listen to secular music. And we did our what was it? We did
branch of Christianity.
Whatever.
Denomination, nigga. Branch of Christianity. I ain't mad at you.
Look,
I knew what you were saying.
Y'all know what the fuck I'm talking
about. It's a synonym.
Look, amen.
Get the fuck.
Look, God said, "Come as you are," and I'm coming.
He did.
As I am.
She did.
Right. Come on. But after we did "Poison" by Bill Bell DeVoe or whatever, and like after we went off, you know. Something in my spirit just told me something wasn't right. So one of the I guess deacons or whatever the hell that structure is set up, I don't know. But one of them got up and was like, you know, we appreciate them coming out, da 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 da. And I looked at one of my frat brothers. I was like,
what's she about to say? It was a woman, right?
No, it was I'm gonna tell you about the woman who got the fuck up there.
Okay.
But the guy got up there and he was like, you know, appreciate, but like I can't even remember what he said because I think he said we appreciate them coming out, but you know we have to remember why we're here and da 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 da. And I was like, are they talking about us? Like. I know they're not talking about us. Like, you didn't say thank you. You didn't say anything. Like, we're out here for the youth. And, like, if you know anything about what my organization stands for, the fuck?
I mean, we doing y'all a favor.
We doing y'all a whole favor. Like,
we gave y'all the music beforehand. We went through proper protocol and we talking shit.
So he gets down, and then the actual, I guess, one of the ministers gets up there, and ironically, it's the mother of one of my frat brothers who brought us out there in the first place. But I didn't know that till later. But she gets up there and she was like, "We don't do that here. Da 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 da. Rebuke this, rebuke that." They started having like a whole praise session, like, we gotta fix the energy in the room, rebuke this spirit, da 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 da. And I'm like, are you serious? I was like, are you serious? I was like, this mad disrespectful.
Rebuke.
And I was like, as a person who is strong in their faith and strong in what I believe in and being respectful and living through the lessons that God like instills in us, that was so fucking ugly. Excuse my language, but that was just raggedy.
No, it was.
And like y'all brought us out here to uplift the youth. So why, like, we're still young too. Like, why would you, like, this is why people turn on the church. Shit like this.
Okay.
So, like, why would you sit here and, like, devalue everything that we just did? Like, the kids were turned.
I mean, but I think that's just whole bullshit because one of my churches, because I'm a preacher's kid and we was all over the place, and my grandparents actually were very involved in the church too. And so it was this church in Macon. They had a whole mixtape, all secular music, but with Jesus lyrics. Like, what was that Young Joe song? Meet me at the it's going down.
Yeah.
Shirley and the motorcycle.
So they had
song.
like a kids bop.
It was a kids pop meets church version of it.
Okay.
But I mean, that was their way of ministering to the kids. You met them where they were,
which is good.
and that's what you're supposed to do, baby. Or that's an approach that you can take as a spiritual organization, is meeting the kids where they are. And so I just think that's very inappropriate, and it's definitely more on the traditional conservative side of Christianity.
Yeah,
because you have organizations that are willing to, meet the youth where they are to minister. And it's definitely a problem that a lot of spiritual organizations have is finding that medium and finding a way to minister to everybody, essentially, because I feel like their messages get lost if they don't find what that is. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, speaking of this old-timey way of just approaching the whole clusterfuck of whatever the fuck. It's just raggedy.
Yeah.
The whole situation was so raggedy.
It was, and what made it even worse when she came out, and like, I'm not gonna say anything disrespectful about the minister or anything, even though I really felt the way. But due to the fact that's one of my frat brother's mothers, I'm a and that's what I had to do in the moment. But she came out and like she was still like, she was like, it was an apology, but it wasn't an apology. It was like, we don't do that here, like secular music, all the other stuff. She was like, you got to do your research on the church that you're going to if you're going out performances. Like, I go teach in other denominations and I do my research, and like she went that route with it, and I was like, you're missing the fucking point. You came out here for what reason? And I was like, I'm ready to go. So, but whatever. That's another episode within itself.
That is so tacky.
It was raggedy. Like, I was like, that's so tacky of you, bruh. Like, how dare you bring us out here and then insult us?
Essentially.
And then the other chapter.
I'm sure y'all felt kind of set up.
No, it was just raggedy because, like, the other chapter, because our sister chapter for the Zetas, they came out. They went first. We went second. And then after us, the other chapter there, the Morehouse chapter, didn't even get to go. So it was just like.
So what was the reason to bring y'all out there?
It was because it was a youth conference. They came down from up north and was doing a youth conference here.
So they decided to use you all's platform as a Black Greek letter organization.
Right, exactly.
To do what specifically?
Like, just to show what we do in the community.
And then use it as, like, then shame y'all for it. And wasn't it an instrumental?
It wasn't an instrumental. It was words, but everything was clean.
Oh.
Everything was clean. And I guess it was more so the content that was in. I don't know.
Whatever. She need to start acting like she went at Freaknik 92 and just get out of herself. It's okay, baby. You have repent. You've been sanctified and saved, baby. Relax. We know you was at Freaknik 92,
Look,
She probably was at Woodstock.
Tired of the way
Well, she
they
probably wasn't at
treat
Woodstock
me.
because Woodstock was very whitewashed.
Yeah, but anyways, I gotta pour up again because that
Let's pour up. Let's pour
that
up.
that left a horrible taste in my mouth.
So we're going to replace that taste with some Moscato.
Look, Moscato.
Pour us up, baby.
Look,
Pour us up, baby. Today we're in my bedroom.
oh, child. Oh,
Because we're still just as broke as we were in episode 1.
yes.
And we get it where we can.
Look.
So I'm sorry if you hear a washing machine or a toilet flush in the background, but that's just what we giving today.
At least y'all not hearing the air conditioner because not the air conditioner, but the air conditioning, because that shit was blasting when we was in the study rooms at Kennesaw. Even though the setup was spectacular, it was roaring.
The
like,
AC was
it was yelling,
blasting.
like Kim Burrell yelling at the gates.
Kim Burrell is going to demonetize us.
I don't look.
She's going to rip us from the air.
Anyways, so yeah. Oh my goodness. Topic for today.
Mm-hmm.
We have issues, y'all. If
If
y'all are still tuning in, we appreciate
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Because
We're nuts. If the house was a squirrel, we would be a nut. But topic for today, toxic relationships.
and we hitting all angles, baby. So buckle the fuck up.
Yes.
Click it or ticket.
Yes, everything from toxic friendships to toxic
Is there
toxic
relationships?
romantic relationships, whatever type of connection that just has not been good with you, even if it's you cussing out the postman every morning, that's toxic. So
Toxic family relationships.
look, family, Jesus Christ. Okay,
Yeah, that's a lot to unpack.
yeah, that's heavy. So I guess my question for you, just to open things up,
Okay.
I guess where are you now? Like, do you have like any current relationships that are just not going the way that you want to? What is your outlook on relationships that are draining but are sort of difficult for you to just drop due to them being possibly family or long time friends? Like, how do you deal with those things now? How have you dealt with them in the past? You know, just sort of open up, get in that thing.
Got you. So
Straight
that's
to it.
Prompt. So 2019, when it started originally, I was like, this is going to be my year of travel. That's been questionable, but it's definitely been my year of cutting people off.
Come on, cut.
Like, that is the general consensus because I've had a lot of toxic ties that I've had to let go of. Whether it be in intimate relationships, whether it be in friendships, whether it be in not necessarily letting go of toxic relationships within my family, because family I kind of can't get rid of them, but just letting go of toxic situations that have led to toxic behavior and kind of moving forward and accepting the fact that certain things are going to be how they are. And so, like, with family, with friends, I'm gonna start with friends. Excuse me. With friends, a lot of the toxic behaviors that I had with the friends that I had to let go in 2019 kind of like intertwined with toxic like feelings and like that intimacy that once existed, because I've lost 2 people who I consider best friends this year just due to very ridiculous behaviors and just ways that mirrored the true relationship that existed between us. And it's always very difficult because I've lost a couple of really close people to me just due to their toxic ways and feeling as if reacted to me negatively. Because I know a lot of people, and this is not me blowing my head up or anything, but I know a lot of people rely on me as a sense of like stability and security. And I've had to realize that in me being this person for so many people, I have to know when it's time for me to take a step back and to reclaim time for myself, because people will milk that from you until they can't anymore.
Right.
And they'll keep doing it until you allow them, until you stop them in their tracks of doing it. And so a lot of these relationships have been abrupt. Like they've ended abruptly because I've had to do things to better myself. And I know one of the situations, it had been something that was brewing for some time, but literally in March I was like, we gotta cut this shit, because I'm tired of it. Like, I'm literally tired of it. And it's just been very interesting, because with all these changes and with me being the empathetic person that I am, it does affect me. It has affected me, and it has taken time for me to grow past it. Now, in intimate relationships, there have been a lot of niggas that have screwed me over, and I talked about one of them really early on in the series.
The nigga with the check that came to you.
Yeah,
Jesus Christ.
And so that really bothered the fuck out of me. But that was only after a month of us dating. The relationships before that, the ones that were friendships, were years of friendships that had grown. And so those hurt more, or stung a little bit more. Well, they stung in different ways, because a part of me still has this insecurity when it comes to dating. And I feel like it's because very early on in my life, and coming to terms to who I am as a gay man, I was presented with things with quite a privilege. Like, a lot of people were seeking me out, and I had options out the ass. Now that I'm a working man, 23 years of age, have graduated from college, I'm not in the same spaces that I was. That was kind of like, it made it a little bit easier for me to be in that space. Like, in high school, everybody was horny. Everybody was trying to figure out who they could get. And I mean, it dates back to me. Like, I had one boyfriend that wasn't really officially a boyfriend, but we came to terms that we were kind of boyfriends after 2 years of dealing with each other, and boyfriends. And then I had another boyfriend that was kind of like on and off, but I haven't had something that I could really sit in, right? And I feel like it was because of just being in that space as a 16 through 18-year-old that was cute, involved, and like, I guess every beginner gaze ideal type. But now that I'm growing older, it's like this insecurity that exists. And so when I was dealing with those toxic, or with those really unstable relationships, it really did take a toll on me, because I was like, damn, what if I'm not able to carry out, or what if I don't have in me what it takes to carry out a stable relationship? Not necessarily because of me, but because of the niggas that I'm dealing with that are so unstable. And just the struggle it is being a gay man in 2020. And granted, we don't have, or 2019, granted, we don't have, it's damn near 2020, but anyway, I'm trying to get this nigga out of office, that's me. But it's just a very interesting space, because I feel like for me, when it comes to a lot of toxic relationships, I feel like nobody wants to be toxic, right?
Yeah.
Like, I don't think people sit down and like, I'm about to be toxic today, unless you're a sociopath or some shit. But it just kind of happens, just due to the environments that you're placed in, due to the energy that you get from certain people, due to the situations that happen. It just happens. But at the same time, it's like, it's important for you to acknowledge when a situation has become toxic and when you need to do things to better yourself. And so 2019 has been huge on bringing a lot of things to the light. And every day, like, regardless of what any of us are going through, Sean, like, I'm so grateful to have you, to have Sean and Sean.
Look,
to have you, to have Kiana, to have and even Lauren as a guardian angel, like, just in my space. Because, like, even when I was going through, and yesterday with Southwest Homecoming game, that's the school we went to, but even I was going through like different Southwest throwbacks in celebration of homecoming, I was like, these really been my niggas. And like Sean, you and I have not had the most stable relationship. Like in our early years, that shit was unstable as fuck.
Yeah.
But it's a reason why we went through all that rockiness, you know, so that we can get to this place.
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you something.
Oh
But,
Lord, no!
I gotta tell you something.
I'm about to jump out the window.
No, we have that. I'm literally over here talking about how much I need you, and you like, shut up. Anyway, but I'm just so grateful for it because, I mean, I think this is going to be the consensus of my of where I'm at today. But like, it's just so important for you to know who's in your circle for the long haul because you're going to go through stuff,
Right.
and you're probably going to go through some toxic situations with people that you need to be around.
Exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
And so being like toxic has this negative connotation. I mean, the definition is kind of negative, but I mean, life is it's like toxic as fuck,
No.
and you have to deal with it, and you have to find the best practice to figure out what the fuck is tea, because essentially this is what we had to deal with. These were the cards that we were dealt with to deal with how fucked the world is and figure out how we can fit in and make the world a little bit of a better place. And so it's important to be able to weed out the people who are going to be productive in that journey and the people who are going to be counterproductive in that journey, and separating them from the people who are going to be productive in that. And so that's where I am to summarize everything.
So I guess follow-up question, because I heard you say with you cutting people off, because my thing is, and I'll give my side, or I guess my standpoint on things and where I am now, but you said cutting people off, because I'm always big on like, all right, even though these people may not be good for me regardless of friendship, romantic relationship, or whatever, like I have to wean off of them and like, you know, easily drop things. So like when you've cut people off this year, has it really been like a cut? Because I hate ghosting people. Like that's just the caring nature in me. But I understand like that's a way like people deal with like very toxic things. They just, all right, like nope, not good for me, done, wiped hands. Like, so like what exactly did you do in those times this year, since you were big on just getting rid of those people?
So it hasn't been like, it wasn't something that was premeditated, I would say.
Okay.
And so it's more so like well, in some cases it kind of was, because I could see it leading up to that point. But ultimately, I mean, it was very traumatic for me because I don't like, you know, you and I are huge relationship builders. Like, we don't like just cutting shit. We give people the benefit of the doubt all the time. And it often makes us look dumb as fuck. Not because we are, but because we care so much. And so for me, it was more so like, I need to do this for my health. Like, it's certain people who are in my life that are not contributing to my greater good. And I think there are a lot of other things that I can kind of control that, or that I can't control rather, that are also contributing to me not feeling the best about myself. And so it's been very interesting because I've wanted to keep a lot of these people in my life, but just for the sake of the situation that was happening and just knowing how keeping them in my life wasn't going to be productive, that I just had to make certain ties. And I mean, certain things just kind of happened. Like, for example, and you know exactly what I'm talking about, but I'm speaking in code. But it's this guy who I was in love with, like, I gradually became in love with him over a course of time, but he was so toxic for me. Like, he just kept putting himself in these very difficult situations, and instead of seeing me as the person that I was, he wanted to see me like how he wanted to see me, essentially. And so he and I had this very special place in each other's hearts. And he and I knew, we had conversations about how we wanted to explore that place and how we wanted to figure out what it would be like. But he was so unstable in his identity and who he was. And a part of me believes that because
you said unstable or stable?
Unstable.
I got you.
A part of me believes that because he was so unstable in who he was, he didn't want to blur that line, or he didn't want to disrupt what we had as really close friends. Even though he and I knew that we were far beyond that.
Yeah, it was way more.
And like, he and I had been dealing with each other since our senior year of high school, on and off. And he had something that was very traumatic for him happen during our freshman year of college, and he told me about it. And
really?
And he told me about it. We kind of worked through it, but he ended up finding a partner that also had this very thing happen to him, and he grew very solid in that. But their relationship was extremely toxic, and every time things got to a point in their relationship, he would call me up, and we would talk through things. And I guess because I was so easy and simple, we would just talk through things. Like I would go and visit him because he was in Nashville, and I would talk to him, like I'd be on FaceTime with him and tell him everything's gonna be fine. And literally every time we went to visit each other, he was always off with this other guy, and he and I would end up doing something. And it was this general understanding, and I turned around, I took his ass to Disney, and we basically had this whole moment where we confessed basically how we felt about each other. And it wasn't until it was later on in the line where I started acting on these feelings and really showing him how much I cared. And he kind of like changed the narrative and was like, Carlton, I never really cared about you like that. Da, 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 da. But it really made me feel some type of way. But this was a guy that I developed like very strong feelings for. He and I became like basically best friends through all of this. And I'd always shown to be there for him. And he literally just went about changing the script on me. And so I realized how much of a mental toll that was taking on me, because I'm like, I really care about this man, and he's just like treating me like trash. What do I have to do to do better? And what is it about our current relationship that's not working? And so I sat back for a second, and I fought through it a couple of times because I would forgive him more than I should have. Just so that I kind of like work through situations on my own and figure out if he was actually feeling this way or if he just needed some time or whatever the case was. But it got to a point where I was like, I gotta let this nigga go. Because he was reaching out to me. Like I think my breaking point was when he reached out to me, and I asked him how he was, and he was like, I'm always good. That's why we didn't click. That's why we never worked out, Carlton. And I was like, well, okay, don't reach out to me no more because I'm good. Because for you to reach out to me and just
say I'm always good,
like but you reached out to me,
right?
Like asking about me makes it known that
something wasn't good.
And you needed some security, right? Because we hadn't talked for a little second, and it was a reason for that. I didn't invite him to my graduation last year because he was on some mess and a few other things. But you reached out to me, and because it had been some time since you reached out to me, I asked you if you were okay, and for that to be a rebuttal really hurt my fucking feelings. And I'm like, I'm not gonna go through this with you because I'm dealing with enough as is, and that's it where it is. And so I told him Happy Pride Month. It was in June, and I haven't talked to him since. I actually blocked his fucking number. And so,
oh really?
I sure did. And so, but this was a relationship. Was that your foot? Oh no. This was a relationship. I was about to be like, your leg's long as fuck. This was a relationship that had been going on since 2014 to 2019. So that was 5 years. And it really hurt me. So it wasn't an easy decision at all. But
so it was more so gradual. Or I guess in context, it was more so gradual. But when that final sort of thing hit, it was like, all right.
Yeah, I just chose myself in that situation.
Yeah.
Because I just knew that if I allowed him to still pilot the conversation or still make me feel as if I was incompetent, that I was going to feel that way. And so I was like, I'm just going to choose myself. Because, I mean, I've been fighting with this man for Lord knows how long about how I feel about him. He's still in denial. He's still going to treat me like this person that I don't want to be treated as.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not finna sit here and lie to myself like you're doing.
Yeah.
And that's me kind of putting words in his mouth. I don't really know entirely his take on it, but I feel like a lot of our relationship he spent in denial. And so situations like that, when things got really complicated and muddy, I didn't really dip out originally, but after I've gone about trying all these different angles to make things better, it was just appropriate for me to
just
break
dismiss
ties.
Yourself.
Yeah.
That's
and
real.
So, how do you feel about that? Because I know you in relationships, you and I, especially recently, have had a different way that we've dealt with relationships that have kind of been damaging. So, where do you stand?
Because honestly, you got me thinking. I guess, because it's like I don't even want to approach this conversation like, all right, from the beginning, but like, where I am now. And honestly, most recently, because I started therapy. I did my evaluation session like 2 weeks ago, and I have like my official, quote unquote, first session this week. And
Great.
I've been charged with, all right, if you had a magic wand, what would you fix in, the next 30 days? What would you change instantly? And I really just started thinking about a lot of the relationships that I have with different people, and how those relationships make me feel. Some of them family, some of them my fraternity brothers, some of them friends. And I think the common theme for all of them and how I feel, and I still have to, I really need to do some meditation this week going into this therapy session, because honestly I'm triggered as fuck right now, because just listening to you and like listening to like everything that we've been through, like it's really taking me back. But where I am now, I'm just realizing how I feel. I constantly feel extremely devalued, and just a lack of, like, no one's going to do for Sean what Sean does for other people. And I feel like that has been the theme through all of my relationships, excluding my family. Like, that's circumstantial. Like, shit just don't make sense with the stuff that goes on there. But as far as relationships that I put myself in, is just a lot of the value and reason why I asked how do you go about cutting those relationships off, because I'm like, a lot of the relationships that I like truly care for, those aren't just like cutthroat, I walk away from those relationships type of things or whatever. But I'm having to figure out what is good for me. And because using my fraternity for example, like a lot of traumatic things have happened through my membership in my organization. But it's like, that's a lifetime commitment, I said my vows, I said my creed, and I can't just walk away from that, especially how I feel about what needs to actually be done in the world. Like, I can't walk away from that. So having to explore and figure out, all right, this is something that means a whole lot to me, but some aspects of this are really just bad for me. So I'm trying to, honestly, I think I'm still in the evaluation stage. I'm probably getting to where you were earlier this year or at the beginning of this year, where just like, all right, this has happened, this has happened, this has happened. I can't do this anymore.
Right. Exactly.
And just putting myself in spaces where I can, because like what I'm realizing about myself and what I have realized about myself just in past months, I endure so much, and due to how I've been treated in past relationships, I have a thing for not letting things not letting things bother me in the moment, when in all actuality, like, I should, like, something should bother me. And I've just developed this wall, or like this natural, like, I'm going to be the best person I can for everybody. Like, I've just developed this wall where things that probably should bother me don't bother me in the moment. And what ends up happening, and why I end up feeling like just all this devalue in the end, when I'm like by myself, or like when these relationships aren't supporting me in the way that they need to, it's like all of it just comes in at one time, because it has the impact, but I just don't realize it at that moment. So everything is always like a cascading effect for me. So it's honestly, I'm still dealing with it to this day, and reasons why I'm just happy I'm going to therapy, because I'm always dealing with the repercussions of what I actually did, or how I actually pursued relationships. Because I mean, you know how long it took me to deal with my first relationship, and the years after that. Like, it took me almost a year and a half, and I'm still feeling away. Not as bad as I was, but every relationship that I've sort of, those major like toxic relationships that you know about, like I'm always dealing with them like after, and I think it's a product of just me not realizing my value and what I actually deserve, and things that aren't okay, and checking those system imbalances, which is, I mean, something I've always commended you on. Like, you're in the moment, like, yeah, no, I'm good. But I just have a way of just taking punches, and I end up feeling horrible. Months later, years later, So I think I'm still in the evaluation stage, but what I have been working on is just not being apologetic about the way that I feel, because I'm very empathetic. I'm so caring to the point where I don't even care about how I feel about certain things. Like, I'm always and I mean, you know me, like, this is redundant as fuck, but I mean, for the listeners, like, I'm a person who will care and give the shirt off my back and not even care how it affects me. But that's very toxic behavior, and that allows toxic relationships to continue. So I'm just in a space where, like, I'm checking myself and allowing myself to feel how I'm gonna feel. And not only that, but voicing how I feel and letting others know that, like, you make me feel this way. And some things I'm still working through. Cause some stuff is more challenging than others. Like, I mean, I can let a motherfucker off the street, know how I feel instantly. Like, you cut me off, bitch, nigga. But it's, but it's the relationships that, like, you've invested into and given so much to, that you just struggle.
You hesitate.
Yeah, like, oh my goodness, yeah. So that's sort of where I am right now. But I think, I mean, I feel like where I am now, like I said, is just a product of some of the family relationships that I've been through. Because, like, I experienced domestic violence in my first relationship, but I think I'm not going to say because, like, I saw my mom go through it, like, that's why I went through it. But I didn't really know anything different. Like, I'm not going to say I come from a broken family, but single mom, dad not present.
Some pieces are broken off.
Oh my goodness. But yeah, like, and I mean, I guess that's like my next talking point. Like, I feel like I never really knew what healthy relationships were.
Yeah, that's real.
Like, I always knew how to treat people.
Right.
Because, I mean, you see, like, I mean, me and you both, like, we both pride ourselves off of, all right, we're going to be, like, the best person we can possibly be to everybody. But as far as how other people receive us and how we engage with other people, like, I think we never really saw that. And I think we've just took it upon ourselves to be like, this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel good. I saw this growing up. I experienced this growing up, but there has to be something better.
Yeah,
has to
indeed.
be. So I don't know.
I mean, that's very interesting that you hit on all that stuff, because I think, like, I don't really know where well, that's a lie, because I know a lot of my goodness is rooted in how I was brought up.
Right.
Because, like I've said in times before, I'm a preacher's kid, so I was grown up to follow the Bible, and I mean, even if it wasn't verbatim, I was brought around very kind-hearted people that wanted the best, or what they sought out to be the best for the people around them. And it's just very interesting seeing how their understanding of the best for certain people was different from mine. And I feel like it's because I was always, quote unquote, different anyway.
Right.
And so I saw the world through a different lens, and I knew that I was struggling to survive, and I knew there were other people out here who were also struggling to survive. So why would I make them feel incompetent or feel lonely in that? And that's one of the reasons why you and I both started this podcast, so people wouldn't feel by themselves. You know, it's this world that we live in that so many of us are told that we're invalid because of the fact that we're a woman, or we're black, or we're gay, or we're a man with hair, or we walk or talk a certain way. And it's just, or we don't identify what the majority identifies as. And I think it's just so damaging for people to have this understanding. And that's been a lot of the divide between me and my family, is the fact that they're just so, I think they're so uncomfortable with the unknown that it makes them feel as if it's incorrect. And I'm like, it's just so much that you don't fucking know. Like, and I think it's so important for you to understand that. But I mean, ultimately, when it came to me and my family, it's always been this disconnect as to how I should be. And people have told me all my life that I should be this way, and especially the fact that I have my father's name. It's like, you should be this way. My dad, I know he wanted me to be just like him, but I was not my father at all. And I mean, he and I, we have our similarities. I mean, that's inevitable. I'm his son. But ultimately, I took an approach that was much different than him as far as where I communicated my love for certain people. And I can definitely say that my love was a lot more genuine. It wasn't backed up by, I mean, God radiates through me, and I've had a lot of friends tell me that God does radiate through me, but I don't use God as a clutch to navigate my life. Like, so I do, but I'm not over here like, oh, God this, God that. You know, like, I'm not spitting scripture at people. I'm not making people feel bad because of whatever the fuck. I am leading my life the best way that I'm being as authentic as I can to me. And I think that's the disconnect. Is that black folks, a lot of black folks, especially the ones involved in the church, get so invested in what they think God wants them to be instead of tuning into the person that they actually are. Because God doesn't make any mistakes, and God put you here for a reason. And you being you, flaws and all, is your testimony. And so for you to be somebody outside of that is fraudulent. And I think that's where a lot of the toxic relationships started with my family, and some of my intimate relationships too, because they fall into this realm of people wanting them to be somebody else, or them thinking they should be somebody else, when in all actuality they just need to embrace who they actually are. And they need to be the person who is most authentic to them, because I've seen and I've been a witness of fraudulent activity and fraudulent behavior and facades, and I think that's something that the black community thrives on. We thrive on facades, and we just got to make it look like we okay. You know, we gonna ignore the fact that Uncle Bobby is raping all his kids and your cousins and your daughter. We're just gonna ignore it because he's trying to work to be better. Meanwhile, we're not thinking about the effect that it's gonna have on the kids at all, because we're focused on making sure that we look good for right now, right? And I think this is why I resonate so much with Shonda Rhimes and her shows, because she hits on childhood trauma like no other. Like, she will bring in the parents into the narrative, and she'll bring in the situations that ultimately made them out to be somebody that either they didn't want to be, or somebody that was trying to get away from. And I mean, she does it in all her shows. She did it with Olivia Pope. She did it with Annalise Keating, and she does it with Meredith Grey, and with damn, what's that nigga name? Alex Karev. And like in the recent seasons, you know, she's brought in the mother of Alex, and it's just so interesting how she hits on those, because it does make you out to be somebody else. And so, like, in my experiences, and I was just telling another friend of mine, a really close friend of mine, this, I was like, I work through my trauma, I work through my mental health issues so that I can be a better parent, or I can be the parent that I wish I was for my kids. Like, I want to be a very secure parent, because a lot of difficulties with dealing with toxic relationships do stem from your upbringing. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm working now to be a parent that my child can lean on when it can't lean on anybody else, because I didn't have that. Like I didn't feel comfortable going to my father about my sexuality because I knew my father was going to throw the Bible in my face. I didn't feel comfortable going to my mother about my suicidal thoughts because I knew she was going to cry or she was going to feel some type of way because of whatever's happened in my past. Like, I don't want my kids to ever feel as if they can't come to me about something because they're afraid of how I'm going to react. They're afraid that I can't deal with it.
Yeah. And that's so crazy because literally, like, as you talk about your history, like, we are such products of our upbringing.
Yeah.
Because I even, as far as my family, because really I really only associate with my mom, my brother, my sister, and my grandmother.
Yeah.
And sometimes my auntie.
Yeah.
But literally, if you look at me and how I live my day-to-day life and like my relationships, you will see an instant parallel between my mother and like my family. Like the constant, all right, I'm gonna support everybody else. I'm gonna love everybody else conditionally. I'm gonna do everything that I possibly can to make sure everybody else is good. But literally, and me seeing this just from me being my mom's oldest, like my mom like is just tired, and like she's always giving out, and she's always the one to come short and to not feel the best way that she can. But literally, she's like probably the most amazing person to me in my family because she's the only one who went to school, not only went to school, but got her master's. She's a nurse, graduated top of her class, has the most kids, like has kids who are successful, supporting her mother, supporting her brother, still making ends meet regardless of the circumstances. And like, if you look at me, like, that's me.
Yeah.
Exactly me. And I can just see how some of those toxic behaviors and like even how some of my family envies my mom because I see it, I see it. I've definitely seen those transfer over into how I live my life, but I think what I've done to change the narrative, just like you, I don't condone it. I don't subject myself to it.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't talk to my family. I ignore my uncle's phone calls because he said something to me in my development stages that hurt me really bad.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, I'm not about to do that. I'm not about to support you in that. I mean, even from just watching my mom like support my uncle and like nobody pick up the slack. Like, I don't appreciate that. But what I do wish is that I had that same energy with the people who I do bring into my life, because I feel like I'm good with it when it comes to family, and like I'm good at cutting off those toxic relationships, but due to just my upbringing, like I allow those type of things to happen. And what else was I going to say? I was going to say something along the lines of I can't remember. I lost my train of thought. I really did.
I mean, I find it, and this is me speaking from somebody that knows you, but I just find it very interesting because, I mean, friends they say it's your chosen family, right? And I know with just like how invested you are in your organization, that literally it was pitched to you as like this family, right? That accepts you and all of you because you go through all these different things to be a part, right? And then unfortunately that family in itself has also been not a disappointment, but they've hurt you in ways too. And so I know that's affected you much differently than the family that you were born into,
right?
Or not necessarily much differently, but in a different way. because, you know, you have this family that you chose, essentially, and this family that you were born into. And so, how has it been for you facilitating through some of those relationships? I know it hasn't been the best, but how have you been able to, and this could go for, you know, for those who are listening, this could go for people who are dealing with probably similar situations in their chosen families or in their organizations that they've grown really close to. Like, how have you been able to exist in a space where you probably feel some type of way about the decisions that you've made to find that sense of community outside of
Right.
your family?
That's real. If anything, I think this was my next point, leading off of my family, and I guess the positive.
Okay, great.
Because I think I do the things that I do, just like you said, to when it comes to being the type of parent that you want to be for your children. Like, I think I just want to create circumstances for people who come after me, just better circumstances in general.
Yeah.
So whether it's my kids, whether it's the Neos who come after me, like, I think my mom was doing it. My mom was probably doing it for the same reason. She did it for me.
Yeah.
So I think what I'm taking the positive out of that and just spreading it out. And reasons why I want to do nonprofit work, reasons why I just want people to do better in general. And I think that's why I have this take-in mentality. Like, yeah, I can listen to your problems. Yeah, you can call me. Yeah, you can text me. And I think I've just taken that approach because going through the things that I've gone through, like, why would I want anybody else to go through that? Like, me as a human, I can't sit there and
know you can do something and not do it.
Right. And I guess this is what I'm also battling currently, because and you know, this is a platform for me to speak my truth, but I've recently just came to terms that I have resentment towards my fraternity right now, and love my fraternity to death. I will love it to the day that I die. I will continue doing everything that I'm doing, but I have resentment. I have resentment about things that happened when I was brought in. I have resentment about me being thrust into positions that weren't ideal for my development. With me being a new member, I was sexually assaulted by one of my fraternity members, and then just the other shit, everything else. And there have been good times, but there have also been a parallel of bad times that have just really affected me in a negative way. And as a black man, a black bisexual man or gay man or whatever the hell I want to identify today as, I cannot sit here as people, because I feel like I shed a light in my chapter, a light that just wasn't there in a long time.
Yeah.
And I created a platform and just the energy for openness, and like, this is an open space for people to come and be themselves, because I'm always myself. So for me to have this very open identity, this very me identity on campus and in my organization, like, I feel like I opened a lot of eyes, not only for my chapter, but people outside of my chapter. And as you know, we acquire interest for the organization as people come through, like, yeah, I have my resentment, but I have to work through that so I can make sure that people who identify the same way as me don't feel away. I have to, like, as the first out person in my chapter, like, that's my responsibility, and I want to check the fuck out. I really do, but I just, due to my upbringing, and why would I allow toxic relationships to continue? Why would I allow toxic behavior to continue?
Right.
Because I've heard statements like, and they're very passive statements, but they can still be very damaging. You know, someone say, "Oh, that looks fabulous," or being gay is a choice, or There's no privilege in being
so
straight, and you know,
That is
just
raggedy,
different statements like that have just came from my brothers, and like, even watching some of the historical things that have just happened in my organization, you know, because at a time, you know, people discriminate against gay people.
Yeah, still do.
I mean, there's still discrimination against gay and bisexual people who are trying to join any D9 organization. And the trans conversation, like, that shit runs deep. So I cannot sit there and everything that my mom has went through, everything that I've went through, everything that I've seen other people who identify, or not even identify, but just going through shit, like, I can't allow people under me to come through that. And I think that, I guess that's what helps me work through my resentment, in a healthy way.
Yeah.
Because I think what I've done in the past, just with all of my relationships, I haven't necessarily worked through my resentment in negative ways, but I think, not resentment, but just, because resentment eventually turns into toxic behavior, I think. And toxic behavior doesn't have to be like domestic violence or like, you know, you drinking. It can be a matter of like letting people do things to you that aren't supposed to be done to you.
Right.
So I think that's what I've done in the past. I've transferred my behaviors to new relationships and expected something different, just because it's a new person, and me almost playing like Russian roulette with love and friendships and all that other stuff. But literally what I'm doing now, I guess bringing it full fucking circle. Look, what I'm doing now, I realize I have my resentment, but due to my underlying, I guess, purpose in my life, I have to work through this in a healthy way, and I have to work through this so I can be able to help other people work through this shit.
Yes.
Because I don't want nobody jumping off a cliff. I don't want nobody jumping off a bridge, you know, drinking and driving, drinking themselves to sleep, all that other stuff, you know, or even just feeling bad about themselves in the space every day. Like, I just can't. I guess that's how I'm working through things now as far as my organization, but I think it's across the board because I feel like I have those parallels in with my relationships. I mean, you know, my last 2-3 relationships, like just doing
2-3
whatever relationships, situationships, whatever the fuck you want to call them. But yeah, I mean, it's parallels across the board. I can talk on those all day, but I don't even feel like talking about those.
Yeah, we don't have to.
That's draining.
I mean, it's just all of it's draining, and I think it's very interesting because all of these things, all these very traumatic things, all these very ridiculous things have built us to be the people that we are today.
Right.
And I think what's just so powerful about all of it, especially with you, because I just remember from the early parts of everything that you've had the same understanding. Like, you've been able, like, it's brilliant seeing your progression, and it's frustrating seeing people just be so passive to all of it and just not recognize it for what it is. Because I know they see it too. It's just what is underlining about it. Where's the disconnect?
Because I think I do a pretty good job of communicating like what I've been through and where I've been.
Yeah, you do. And your existence in this organization, your existence period, is amplifies to so many people. And you hit on something hard when you mention your mom, because I'm like, my mom was the same way. My mother, they grew up in a different generation that wasn't as candid about it, and that's something that I can say about millennials / Gen X, because they don't know what the fuck they want to classify 96 as anymore. But not Gen X, Gen Z, whatever the fuck. But we are our parents just more open, right? Because my mother was definitely the one that ruffled feathers,
right, and going against the grain. That's what I was gonna say about you. Like, we're a reflection of our parents.
Yeah.
Like,
and it's the ones that stuck around. Because me and Sean both juniors, and Sean would say it all day, but I'll refrain from that shit until they talking about some social security number. Then I got to be really specific. But I am my mama's child, and for the longest, I feel like she didn't want to accept it because of her understanding of my existence as a junior. That I was supposed to be my father,
Like your father.
and because I knew the type of dad and the husband that my father was to my mom, I was like, I'm not him, and I need you to understand that because he was not a good husband to you. And I'm not saying that I want to be who he wasn't, because that's not my role. But I want you to know that you can love me and you can appreciate me in a way that he didn't necessarily do it. And that, you know, there is overlap between the way that we act. Because, I mean, primarily, especially when I was going through my shit with my first, I'm like, Mama, I'm going through the same shit you going through with your boyfriend right now. Like, for you to sit up here and say, well, being gay is a choice and da-da-da-da, and I know she didn't mean it. I know my mama didn't mean it. But, of course, what she was going through, it was like, I'm literally going through what you're going through right now. And, I mean, it's taken her to this point. Like, me and my mom have had a very interesting relationship, but me being open with her, me basically saying, girl, we here. I think she finally gets that. And just our actions show it, because my mother is probably one of the most, my mother will go in for anybody that she loves. My mother is a very, like, a very strong, very dedicated, very, trying to think of the right word. She's extremely ambitious. I'm not trying to use some little lukewarm ass adjectives. My mother she's the shit. She's the bomb.com, and she would go to fuck in for anybody that she loves. My mother also doesn't show her emotions, and I feel like it's because she's a black woman. She's like, I'm not about to show my emotions on my sleeve. Fuck that. My mother's probably one of the most strongest people I know, because she works and she does things to break down barriers in ways that people don't even understand until they've happened. Because my mother went through a divorce, and I'm sure her process through her divorce made it so much easier for my grandparents to be receptive for when my grandparents went through a divorce, because my grandparents were not having it when my mother was divorcing my dad. But she went about doing that. My mother went and got her PhD and her JD. And my father's side of the family was not receptive of that at all. But she was like, I want my fucking
Doctorate,
my
bitch.
doctorate in law. So y'all gonna kiss my ass, and that's done on
The
that.
crack of my ass.
The crack of it. And she got her doctorate in law, and she is a badass attorney. And so it's like, it's things like that that I saw, and I was like, I got it in me. I got it in me because of this. And even though my mother was going through this, she was able to still position herself to be impactful, even though the words that she was saying, her actions, not necessarily her actions, but like the words she was saying or the way that she was feeling at the time wasn't receptive of that.
Right.
And so I think, honestly, that's what keeps me going, is the fact that I have these experiences where people around me have not necessarily felt the best about themselves, but they've done things to position themselves to do things that were effective because they believed in something. And I think that's the biggest thing. My mother has always been very authentic to how she's felt, and that's what's gotten her through it. And that's the disconnect between me and other toxic relationships that I've had. People not being authentic, transparent, and understanding of who they are in their existence.
That's real.
As people.
That's very real.
Because my mama, and your mother too. Your mother is, I love mama so much, because from the day I met her, she's been transparent. And I'll never forget, I was pissed off because of that nigga.
You talk about when you was in front of the school?
Yes. And your mama pulled up and was like, you need to get yourself together. And I was like, girl, what are you talking to? But something about her just made me say, okay, yes, ma'am. You know, and from that point on, I feel like it's just an understanding that me and your mother had. And to this day, I miss her so much. I haven't seen her in so long. But, I mean, it's just, and it's the same with your mama, with Kiana mama.
Yeah.
It's like, they just knew, you know? And you just can't go about ignoring shit like that. And so, through it all, and this just goes back to what I was saying earlier on about how I was feeling. it's just so important for you to remember how blessed you are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because
Right.
shit gets bad.
Yeah.
And everybody's going through shit. I think that's the biggest thing. I know all y'all motherfuckers listening, y'all going through some shit that you either haven't talked about, that you haven't acknowledged, or that you're in denial about, or even something that you've been talking about and you're trying to figure it out. Everybody's going through stuff. I think one of our main things as humans is knowing that, acknowledging that, and using our big ass brains to help each other.
Mm-hmm.
Cause this dog eat dog world, that shit is so 2005. Like, bitch, if you don't lead that shit in the past, it's all about motivating you, especially in marginalized groups. Black people should be uplifting each other. People in the LGBTQIA plus community, and yes, I said all of us. I don't just say gays or the trans. We all need to be lifting each other up because there is commonality between all of our struggles, and we need to bond together so that we can get through all this shit. Because people who don't get us, they're not going to get us tomorrow. They're not going to get us a year from now. People who don't get us don't get us.
It's bigger fish to fry.
They're bigger fish to fry. Because being black, that is a struggle. Being gay is a struggle. Being a woman is a struggle. But I can't sit here and say I understand what it's like to be a woman, because I don't. I can say girl, she. I can refer to myself as she, girl all the time, but I ain't got breasts. I ain't got no pussy. And my driver's license don't say that I'm a female. And so, and I'm not female presenting. And so, I don't know what it's like to walk this journey as a woman. But I do know what it's like to walk this journey as a black person. I do know what it's like to walk this journey as an LGBTQIA plus person. And I'm very supportive of everybody that falls within that spectrum.
Mm-hmm.
So that's me. You know, being toxic shit, you just gotta work through it.
Yeah, I think the biggest thing for me, and I guess what I'll leave the good people with,
Okay.
because I didn't even think about this till like I said it today, but I was like, oh shit, like we have this negative connotation of what toxic is, and we have this stereotype of what toxic is, but toxic can be anything from anything, like it should be defined as anything that is not protective of your mental state, your emotional state, your physical state, like anything that affects those things and does not push you forward and where you need to be going, like right. So I have toxic behaviors.
I mean, but that's good
Realization
that,
for
because
today.
that even covers toxic masculinity.
Yes.
Because that gets in the way of a lot of niggas doing things and staying authentic to themselves.
Look, don't get me started.
That's a whole different episode, baby.
Bitch niggas.
Bitch, nigga, snitch, nigga, hoe, nigga, bitch, nigga. You know that song?
No.
YG and Baby.
The baby is so fine.
He is.
I want him to talk through the phone. Just.
Like a Ricola in my booty hole.
Oh my. Ricola. Oh my goodness.
Okay, cute. Well, that was this week's episode of Black, Gay, and Okay.
Yes.
Follow us on our social media on Instagram. We're only on Instagram at BGO_pod. Listen to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, and SoundCloud. And we're here, and we're existing, and we're working through toxic shit.
Yes, on a day-to-day basis.
On a day-to-day. And we believe in you.
Mm-hmm.
In the period. You have anything inspirational you want to tell the people? We like to leave off on a good note.
You know, if you wake up, oh shit.
If you wake up and have a FaceTime call.
No, those are my sisters pulling up at the house.
Oh.
No, if you guys wake up and you're feeling good, you know, ride that out. Let those feel good endorphins just run through your blood, run through your body. And really just try to do things throughout the day to just sustain that. If you wake up and you aren't feeling good, okay.
It's fine.
That is fucking fine.
It is okay to not be okay.
Take your time.
Just work through it.
Write it out. Like, do what you need to do to get through your day, because honestly, the most important thing is for you to get through it.
Yep.
And although it does matter how you get through it, we want you to work through it as healthy as possible.
Yep.
We just want you to get through it because you were valued, you were loved, we care.
We care.
Yes, you were important, you was kind,
You is kind.
you was smart, you was important.
You is important.
So yes, just believe in yourself, believe you can do it. You got this.
I love it.
Yes. What
Until
about you?
next-
Oh, no? Until next time?
You literally just summarized it all.
Really?
So-
Okay.
Yeah, that was beautiful.
Oh.
I also have to pee too, so that's where I'm at.
That'll
this
do
fucking
it.
Moscato, this barefoot is at the bare of my
Your foot of your penis.
I was gonna say kidneys, but
Okay.
What else holds your piss?
Your urethra.
Is it your urethra?
Or your bladder. Your bladder.
Your bladder. I thought women only had urethra. I don't know.
No.
Fuck us. We ain't no STEM majors. Fuck us.
Ah.
I have. Okay. Anyway,
Look.
I'm at the piss this wine out. Bye.